Have you done the math
No.
homework yet?
What?
What?
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Mogul Movies, episode 5, I think.
Yeah, it was
Yes, yes,
five.
episode
Episode
5.
5. So we were originally supposed to watch Puss in Boots as our final movie, but we had some issues. So we ended up watching A Silent Voice instead.
Which was better.
Yeah, we can watch Puss in Boots. But yeah, we watched Silent Voice instead. So yeah, we're gonna talk about Silent Voice.
Yep.
How are we gonna talk about a silent voice? Literally, the whole joke is like you're supposed to be silent.
Yeah, that's true. But let's talk about the plot of the Silent Voice, shall we? Who
Yep.
wants to start it off?
So
Devastating.
devastating.
It was devastating to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, so Silent Voice really starts off with like a small elementary school setting. Like, okay, the beginning really doesn't lead you on to what you think the actual film is gonna be.
What song did it play in the beginning? It played like a really upbeat song at the beginning.
Yeah, because okay, the song at the beginning, you're just seen with like a couple of friends in their own like friend group hanging out.
Yeah, they're just messing around.
You don't really get to. It doesn't really like make you think about what it's gonna show later on.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it starts off with just our main character and his group of friends just hanging out. You know, just like boys being boys, that kind of thing.
Right.
And then it starts introducing other characters slowly, like the rest of the class, like all the other friends, people he's not really acquainted with. And then it introduces, like, I guess you could call it the main victim. You don't know that yet, but it's a transfer student. And
Her name is Anisha.
the way that they present her is really, well, not unique, I guess, but for just the characters in general, unexpected. Because they're all expecting like I don't want to say regular.
I don't want to say normal. That sounds a bit.
Because the kids aren't expecting like anyone special.
Yeah.
But it's quickly introduced that the transfer student is actually deaf and she can't hear. It's like they introduce her by her going through her backpack and pulling out a notebook that says 4 conversations, like using it to introduce herself and saying how she wants to get along with the class and introducing her as a deaf person.
Man, back when times were simpler.
What is we're talking about? Oh, elementary school, that's right.
No,
Yeah.
I'm talking about the start of the movie before it became heartbreaking.
Before we watched the movie, when it was actually just cheery.
Yeah, when it was just like elementary schoolers being elementary schoolers, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So after she's introduced, the plot like quickly develops. Because like first she tries to fit in, but it's like, it's hard for, well, especially in elementary school, like someone with special needs having to fit in with her entire class. It's just not something that's easy for her to do. And it just ends up with her being misunderstood and bullied because I guess kids don't really get the nuances. Well, I say kids like we aren't kids.
This is kids are
Just like
immature.
young
I'll
little
say
babies.
it. I'll say the hot take. I think kids are
the
immature.
hot take. I don't think that's hot. I don't think that's a hot take. I really don't think that's a hot take.
They don't know that bullying can actually harm people.
Yeah, they didn't. She comes off really misunderstood because they don't know that she's trying to like actually make friends with them and everything.
She's so nice.
She's so nice. She's so nice, and the kids don't deserve it whatsoever.
Don't. And the one kid that was nice to her got bullied for being nice to her, and then she left. But you know,
yeah. So that she ended up getting bullied so badly that she had to transfer back out of the school. And it's a turning point for our main character, who also becomes outcasted because he's I guess
we're
he's
jumping a little-
the
we're jumping the gun a little
scapegoat.
bit. We're jumping a little bit. So she gets
Oh,
bullied
yeah.
by the kids,
Mm.
and at first everyone like is kind of nice to her because I guess kids' curiosity. They want to get to know the kid who's a little bit different. But after a while,
Mhm.
they start getting some of them. Some of them don't like her. Just talk bad about her for no reason. But yet, Nishimiya, being the Vinland Saga girl that she is, has no enemies.
Exactly.
She just tries her best to get along with them regardless. I don't think she knows that they're necessarily making fun of her.
Yeah, she has that like she's not completely aware of what they're doing because it's like she also can't really understand them that well because it's a plot point that like early on they can't really talk to her well because they don't know sign language and she can't like talk well
Yeah, and kids
or
being
at all really.
the
Yeah.
low attention span they have do not want to write in a notebook to communicate.
No, they wanted to write into the notebook. It's just that they didn't want to learn sign language and they would rather write into the notebook.
I don't even think.
I don't think they wanted either, dude.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, they did.
They didn't care to
That was
accept her at
yeah,
all.
it was an excuse to not talk to her really.
Mm-hmm. They would grab her notebook. Let's talk about the main guy. I forgot his name.
You forgot his name.
I think Ishida. Ishida.
Yeah, Ishida. Yeah.
He was the biggest bully. I think everyone else was like kind of.
Everyone did like the standard conventional bullying, like separating from the group and talking behind their back.
Yeah,
but
were,
Ishida
like,
took it a step
confrontational.
further.
They were
Yeah,
like,
Ishida went like physical bullying.
Yeah, he was the yeah, and he was the main reason why. Oh, wait. So she got hearing aids,
Mhm.
and she got like.
It was just like an example of bullying
Yeah,
about
an
how
example.
she had hearing aids in, and he just like ripped them straight out, and he started doing stuff like throwing them away and breaking them.
Yeah, 8 pairs gone, and hearing aids they're expensive. I think.
Yeah, I actually
Probably.
didn't know this before watching the show. Apparently, it's really expensive for hearing aids. We actually had to learn that in the middle of the show.
I didn't. I'm crazy.
And
yeah, you're just different, you know.
For like low end, they cost like $50 per pair, and even then, 8 pairs, $50. That's already $400. Still a lot of money.
And it's at that point where you like see that the Ishida finally starts showing some remorse because it's clear that like his family isn't the best off.
Yeah, he starts
because he sees that like, oh, it costs a lot of money for these hearing aids, and his family owns, what was it, a hair salon. A hair salon.
Father, so it's his single mom.
It's his single mom running this hair salon. And like, it kind of gives you some introspection into his life because it does show that he has some appreciation. He's not totally unaware. It's just that in this specific scenario, he doesn't really get it.
And after that,
so yeah, after like finally showing some remorse for her, he starts realizing like the consequences of his actions. Like he starts to realize that like the money affects her, but it's like also the bullying affects her mentally, not just her family and the money.
Yeah, because I guess I don't think Nishimiya told her parents that she was getting bullied. They just kind of picked up on it.
No, yeah, because so the mom picked up on her being bullied because of the amount of just like the ridiculous amount of hearing aids that she went through in like a single school year.
And then I guess she was absent for one day. I don't know if she was sick. Maybe her mom still wanted to go. Didn't really get told. And that's when one of the faculty people was like, "Hey, we were told that she's getting bullied." And then the teacher was like, "Stop beating around the bush. We all know it was you, Ishida." And then all of his friends who were also doing it try to play non-guilty, like we weren't doing it. It was all him.
Like Ishida was kind of used as the scapegoat in his entire friend group.
Yeah, and then they
Like it was all blamed on him. The teacher didn't really see how everyone else was doing it. He just knew that Ishida was the worst
biggest
offender.
one, yeah.
So he, after being ended up like ending up using being end up after being used as a scapegoat, like he starts getting separated from his original friend group because he's now seen as like the big bully of the entire class in school, because everyone essentially puts the blame of Nishimiya, that's her name by the way, Nishimiya, like leaving the school is all put on him, and then he's outcasted from his friends, and it just shows, it's just like a big show of karma.
It's kind of an Uno reverse card.
Uno reverse card. A Uno reverse card from Fate.
But that was just the intro. That was just like the first 20 minutes of the movie.
That was the epilogue of the story, essentially.
And then we get a time skip to, I think, high school.
It's around high school-ish. It's like shown after there's a scene where he like quits his job and sells all of his belongings because he's planning on committing suicide, because that's like how bad he feels for everything he did. Like he sells most of his belongings, he quits his job, and he gives all of the money he earned from both to his mom.
He's like, sorry,
saying, here's your money back, I'm sorry for everything, and then like going off to commit suicide.
Well,
which he actually doesn't.
He never told her that he was doing suicide, and I don't think he left a note saying that either. His mom is just a psychic and was like, hey, I notice everything you're doing, you're definitely planning on something.
Well, there was a bunch of signs, like he had the months with like last day written on it, having half of the calendar ripped out, like telltale signs of someone who's just going through it.
Yeah. After that, it was like, what was it, 1.7 million yen, which we found out was like $11,000.
Mm-hmm.
And his mom
that
was
they
like,
accidentally burn.
Yeah, his mom was like, "Hey, you are not going to commit suicide. I will burn this money if tell me you don't want to commit suicide, or I'm going to burn it." And then he's like, I won't. Okay. Then she accidentally burns it anyway, which, unfortunate.
It's not a big plot point in the story that she burns that much money. It's just like a little comedy.
I don't know about comedy, but
well, it's not like something that's brought up again.
Yeah, it's just a little bit.
But I feel like something that's really important that we should extract from that is the fact that after everything, after all the decisions that he's made in the past, all he could think of was just to die. A very big theme in the whole movie.
Yes.
It's just the ideation of harming yourself or some sort of suicide. And that's based off of like situations that you either put yourself in or situations that you can't control. Such as, what is her name again? I don't really know how to pronounce all that.
Nishimiya?
The deaf one is Nishimiya.
Yeah, Mishimiya, just such as her situation. There's every character in the movie has some sort of ideation of helplessness where they're just like, oh my God, without you, I wouldn't be like this. Or, just such as I guess you could say in the same situation of what personally my favorite character is, Nagatsuka. He's like actually the goat.
Yes, my goat, Nagatsuka. The first friends that Ishida makes is Nagatsuka.
After being casted as a social outcast for most of his school career until high school, Nagatsuka is his first friend due to Ishida's want to just stand up for him during this whole entire situation.
It's like a small situation where someone wants to take his bike to do something else, and Ishida sees this and he stands up for him. Well, actually, like stands up for him in the sense that he offers up his own bike.
Yeah, I like that scene because it shows how if this was old Ishida, he would have done it in a definitely more physical way than the way he did it in the movie. I guess that kind of shows how all this stuff has affected him.
Yeah,
And
it
this,
shows the character development, but also shows how he's not completely there because he clearly sees that he has a malicious intent and that the bike, nothing good is going to happen to that bike. But instead of like stopping it anyway, he offers up his own, even though he knows like he's not going to get it back.
But it's not just that, though. I feel like the reason why he decided to be so nice towards Nagatsuka is because of the same reason
he like relate.
why, yeah, he can relate on the level of they're both very lonely. They both seem like social outcasts because of how different they are. And that just leads back to the whole overarching like plot point that is just ideation of sadness. Like the whole movie just kind of romanticizes suicide and makes it a common theme, which I feel like every character who actually really is in depth, or any character who like has any tragic or erratic behavior, any one of the bullies essentially has had some sort of like, we as the viewer were given insight on the fact that they are not happy with themselves. They hate themselves, just like that one girl who like Owena, yeah,
Ueno.
Yona,
Yeah.
I cannot.
whichever one's correct pronunciation, she
I think none of us
doesn't
got
like
it.
herself.
Mhm.
And she was also a really big bully back when, they were actually bullying Mashida. And this whole movie, I feel like it's just supposed to show that people can change.
I don't think she changed the movie. She still hated him, but hated Ishimiya.
She
by the end.
changed probably the least out of everyone in the main cast, but she did have some minor character
It
development.
was very minor.
I feel like this whole movie is supposed to be just saying that you should be allowed to forgive yourself no matter what.
Yeah, and I think
How, no matter what bad decisions that you might have made, you can learn to forgive yourself and move on and only be better.
yeah,
Well, it does show that you can change. Like that's a really big part of the story because you see how much like it's not on-screen character development, but Ashita does have a lot of off-screen character development where it goes from like him in elementary school who's just like constantly bullying this girl to after like trying to commit suicide and then his mom stopping him. Does he realize like he does change and he does want to make amends? It's just the whole movie is about him trying to go about it.
I feel like the story is supposed to follow him realizing that suicide isn't the way out, and he made every best decision to make to he essentially made the best outcome for himself. He realized that the situation at the start of the movie, once past the time skip, he realized that his situation wasn't correct. I mean, he even said it to Mashida herself nearing the end of the movie after he got out of the hospital, which is after a lot of things have happened, he got out of the hospital. And he was like, I found out that I don't deserve to die. He said something along those lines. And I feel like this whole movie is just essentially just saying everything's going to be all right. You don't need to, all you need to do is just learn to forgive yourself and change. I mean, yeah, don't worry about a thing because everything's going to be all right. I mean, that's what happened for Mashida. That's what happened for literally everybody. Everybody kind of became friends and accepted themselves as who they were.
Oh, this story does this really nice imagery for you where everyone in Ishida's POV, there's everyone who's not close to at least has an X over their face. And it kind of symbolizes like whether or not they're trustworthy or close to him in his eyes. It's a dynamic thing that changes in the story. Characters who have X's can get them taken off, and characters who don't have them can have them added.
Like in the beginning, besides like his family, everyone had an X.
Also, the most dynamic character in terms of the X on the face is definitely Ueno.
Yeah.
She probably
had
had an X on her face 3 times and got it taken off 3 times as well.
The manipulation's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy how much. Okay, I guess character development doesn't really come until later, but it is shown that she does hang out with the main cast just with ulterior motives.
Mm-hmm. I don't. Would you guys say? Do you guys think she had a crush on Ishida?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think that's definitely implied a little bit.
It's implied a lot. Well, mostly later in the story, not really early in the story, because you don't really get the crush vibes whenever she puts the blame of bullying Nishimiya onto Ishida. But I have a feeling it was either because of guilt for blaming him or actually no, yeah, mostly guilt from blaming him, most likely.
Honestly, one of my favorite scenes in the movie that I feel like really wraps everything up with a really nice bow is actually the ending. Him. So back to the concept of everybody having some sort of X over their face. It's because he is regarded as a social outcast, and he believes that he's unlovable because of how other people have treated him, because of his own past decisions, how he holds himself to the guilt of his own past decisions. But one of the nicest parts of the movie, when after everything has happened, all of the X's just fall off everyone's face. He looks up and realizes that he can look at people and he won't be judged. He won't have to judge himself. He can look at people and realize that he's changed.
It's just like he starts accepting that his past decisions do make him, and he shouldn't be ashamed of that. It's like a small step forward, because it does show like the culmination of everything he's done. Like making up with Nishimiya played a huge part in letting him accept who he is.
Honestly, this movie was a really good movie. Like it hit all the emotional ticks for me. I cannot lie.
Yeah.
Good movie.
Honestly, I'm surprised it didn't win more awards than it already had.
Yeah.
But was it better than Your Name?
That
it's hard to say.
It's a little controversial, I'd say.
There's some recency bias. We literally just finished watching.
Okay. Well, it's not like we watched Your Name that long ago either.
Yeah, exactly.
Still recency bias.
This movie hit an emotional tick more than Your Name for me. I can't lie. It feels more grounded in reality.
It definitely is more grounded in reality, but I feel like having all the fantastic elements of Your Name, like with all the time travel and body switching, it's something more unique. I don't really think just like
very unique.
I don't think all the down to earth stuff of Silent Voice like really makes up for all like the unique factors and just like unique factors and story of Your Name. Yeah.
I guess it's a me thing because I just felt it seemed a lot more human. You know what I mean? Of course,
it is a lot more down to earth
human experiences. This movie seems a lot more human, as in it feels like this actually has happened before. You know what I mean?
Definitely a story that could happen. Yeah, it gives a lot more slice of life than fantasy because it's just very grounded in everything that happens. Because all of the real human emotions, say real like there's fake ones, all the emotions that the movie makes you go through, like it gives you a better understanding because it's something that everyone could go through. Like in Your Name, you can see and feel the emotions that the character is going through, but ultimately you can't really feel what they're going through because nobody body switches through, well, maybe nobody body switches through time and space, but it's not the case with Silent Voice, where everyone can experience what every character in Your Name, Silent Voice experience. It's not something that's unique to the movie, but that's what makes it like good.
Look, man, all I'm saying is, dude, the people or the characters that were in Silent Voice were more fleshed out than any of the characters that were in Your Name. Well, what I mean by that is, of course, the main characters fleshed out. You know, there's
Just
main
like the side
characters.
characters,
There's
the main
more of
The side
cast.
side
characters, but the side characters in A Silent Voice, dude, easily I rooted for them more, and I was more. You could tell that they've gone through stuff. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you definitely have stronger feelings for the main cast of Silent Voice than you do for the main cast of Your Name.
It's definitely because the plot is actually more like realistic. So it's
Yeah,
easier to,
because
like,
it's more down to earth, so it lets you like actually understand the characters better.
Like all I'm saying is, A Silent Voice clears Your Name. Easy, like,
Goddamn.
I really like the. I don't know. I don't know. I think I still like Your Name a little bit more. I do.
Well,
love,
there is the
say
storytelling
that.
gap, but Your Name is just so beautiful.
I will say
it
this,
is
though.
very
Like,
beautiful.
there-
I love the animation style of Your Name.
The music I feel like was there for both movies, but
like
it's
Your
just
Name.
the animation. The animation is what really pushes Your Name up for me.
Okay, I mean, now if we're talking about it like that, then yeah, dude, no, Your Name was actually an experience. This was just like it was an emotional roller coaster, but Your Name was actually an experience to watch.
Because Your Name was just like such eye candy. It was so good.
They actually went insane on the animation.
Like the
Silent
big
Voice is
wide
definitely,
shots.
definitely pretty as well. I think they didn't go as overboard on the animation. I think Silent Voice, because they were in a city, there wasn't really much landscape. Your Name had like that element of
Dude,
rural
and you're
Tokyo, too.
telling me that Tokyo couldn't have looked like
I mean, it looked really
Tokyo
good.
looked super good.
They looked good in both movies. I think
Your Name just did such fantastic, like beautiful wide shots of all of the landscape and scenery.
yeah.
But Silent Voice just had like such a simple art style that complemented the story perfectly. Because it's just like a really normal, like it's not something that's like a fantastical scene that fits the fantastical timeline like Your Name does. It's like a simple scene that goes with like everyday feelings because it's more of a slice of life experience than anything else.
You know what I just realized in Silent Voice? Okay, I'm probably stupid here, but I think Silent Voice, it incorporated a lot of, I don't know what this is called in films, where they cut all the music and they actually put you in like silence. And just
Like
lets you like.
Oh, they did do that a
digest.
lot.
I mean,
Absolutely.
well, just like very quick editing, definitely.
It just like lets you digest everything that's going on screen without the added music on there. And then
Well,
sometimes,
that did give the scenes more impact as well. Because sometimes just letting you take in the scene and digest what just happened and what was just said, like it lets you feel the moment more.
Man, I don't know. I rate movies on how they tickle me emotionally, and the reason why I think this movie's like just a little better than Your Name is due to the fact that it just really tickled emotionally. Your Name, it was great and it was an experience to watch. Don't get me wrong, I honestly really enjoyed that movie. It's just I don't know, man. This movie, it just felt very
I know
down
what
to
you mean.
earth.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But that was your second anime movie? No, Spirited Away. Third.
Yep, third anime movie.
Second anime movie. I mean, yeah, totally.
I mean, you've only watched Spirited Away, Your Name, and now Silent Voice, I think, right? Have you watched any more?
Yeah, I totally watched all of them.
Yep, every single one. We all know that.
Yeah.
No way.
I'm sorry that I wasn't really talking much on the Spirited Away episode. My mic wasn't working, so
Yeah.
what?
It's like technical problems.
Yeah, I think it's time for us to give our ratings.
I still like Spirited Away. I still like Spirited Away more.
That's fine. I liked both movies. When I say I liked Your Name better, it's like the greater or equal to sign. Like it's very close.
Like Avengers Infinity War versus Avengers Endgame.
No, that clears. That clears. That's the
Yeah,
best movie of
absolutely
all time.
clears.
But I think I'd give Spirited Away. I gave Your Name I think I gave it a 10 or 9.5, something like that. I give this one a 9. I think a 9 is very fair.
I would also say 9. I'm pretty sure I also gave Spirited Away a 9, but it's like
Oh,
they
yeah,
are
is
very
this-
close.
wait,
But
does
what
this take over
it's
your favorite
essentially
movie spot?
it's essentially what Devin said, but reverse, where Spirited Away is just equal than or greater to A Silent Voice. Because I just like the fantasy elements, which speak just like really quickly. I also like Your Name more than a Silent Voice as well. That doesn't take away from A Silent Voice at all.
Yeah, they're
It's a
both
great movie.
fantastic
I just
movies.
love the fantasy elements that Your Name and Spirited Away have.
Yes, that voice
Uh,
didn't
Honestly-
really have any comedy. Where was the one-liners?
oh yeah, of course.
Just kidding.
He's right behind me, isn't it?
The one-liners from the character who is socially awkward, or from the deaf female main character.
Oh wait,
Honestly,
wait,
that would've been awesome.
we didn't get to talk about one of the hardest parts to watch in the movie. I know we're like very close to ending.
Oh,
but I wanna talk about
Yeah.
Oh my God.
For closing it out,
The
we can
I
quickly
love
mention it.
Moo.
The
love
I
Moo.
mud you, dude. I love
That
Moo.
hurt. She tried to tell him
Aw.
she loved him, but since she's deaf and she's never like spoken before, she doesn't know how she actually sounds, so she couldn't get the words out right.
A combination of her being deaf and not being able to speak correctly, and him being insecure about how people feel about him.
Oh, I love Moon. I love Moon.
That part hurt physically and emotionally.
Honestly, just because of that, I give it a 10 out of 10.
I love Moose enough to push it over.
Yeah. Anyways, on the topic of numbers, did you do that math homework?
We don't talk about that. No, let's not talk about that.
All right, that's the final episode of Mogul Movies. Thanks for watching. We'll, I guess, not see you next time. Bye.